So we decided that rather than the slow or the fast death, we would go and do something and take a risk. And it's a very intricate story, which is probably beyond the scope of this. But the short of it is about 10 different transactions, a Bitcoin, a share buyback, a Dutch auction, equity raises, junk bond, convertible bonds, lots of communication to the street. And we went from investing 250 million in Bitcoin to 425 million in Bitcoin to eventually a billion in Bitcoin to 2 billion in Bitcoin to just slightly less than 4 billion in Bitcoin. And the result I just said, right, for our shareholders, our stock outperformed every big tech company, every asset class, and every enterprise software company. I think we did the number and we calculated we outperformed 485 of the 500 S&P companies over that time period. And then in terms of the corporation itself, we added billions and billions of dollars to the enterprise value of the company. So it's paid off so far, even though we get thrashed this way and that way by volatility.
Right.
Now, the war in Russia, the war in the Ukraine, the utterances of the Central Bank of Europe, the utterances of the Federal Reserve, all of those things impact our stock and impact our shareholders. But, better to get out. It's another analogy. You're in a rowboat, you're rowing 3 miles an hour. The wind is blowing against you 20 miles an hour. The current is 10 miles an hour. You're never going to get to your destination. You will starve to death before you get there. Your choice, reach down in the hull, put up the sail, tack into the wind. And now you're sailing with the wind, and you know what? You're actually going somewhere, and you probably will get to your destination, but you're going to actually get jerked around by the storm, and it's going to be a fast ride and maybe a harrowing ride, but you have life, and you have an opportunity because you've harnessed a new energy source. And the old strategy was going to kill you. The new strategy it's scary. I got to learn to sail. I got to learn to fly. It's invigorating. It's different. People are going to think you're crazy, but they wouldn't be talking about us, and we would be just very quietly starving to death or getting squeezed out of existence while we didn't really bother anybody or threaten anybody had we not done what we did.
Right. Okay. I like the decision you made. I think it was the right one. Question, is there a price of Bitcoin where things get interesting for you as far as where, I don't know, not that you get stopped out, but where as a leverage position gets where it's like, okay, now there's an issue where I might have to liquidate Bitcoin. Is there a price there? Is it 12,000 or 13,000 where that's an issue, or is that not the case?
No, we've been pretty artful about this. For example, the first 425 million, almost the first 500 million was equity. And then the next 500 million, or the next 1.7 billion was convertible debt, but it was converting into equity, and it's unsecured debt, so it's not related to the Bitcoin. It just becomes equity at some point in the future. And then the next 500 million was a junk bond, but that was secured against the cash flows of the software business, which is very stable. That can be refinanced in the future, and it was a 7-year junk bond. So again, not really correlated to Bitcoin. And then the next billion was an ATM equity issuance. We issued $1 billion of stock. So you see, we've issued a lot of equity, and then we've financed other parts of the business. It was only the last 205 million where we pledged some Bitcoin as collateral. So that's our famous Bitcoin-backed loan, or Bitcoin-backed, loan facility with Silvergate. And we calculated that when we did that, we were 20x over collateralized. Like we had 20 times as much Bitcoin as the loan. And right now we're probably 10x over collateralized. I think if Bitcoin got down to 3,500 a Bitcoin, then we'd have to come up with some other collateral.
Okay.
But, we just announced another $500 million at the market equity shelf registration. So we've just used a balance of equity, long-term debt, secured debt, unsecured debt, just a very thin layer of borrowing against the asset itself. And we primarily did that just to prove it could be done in order to legitimize it as an asset you could borrow against. So, so the answer to your question is, I don't really worry so much about that. It's at some point if Bitcoin gets to 2,000, then I have to adjust something, but not so likely. We had quite a big buffer that we built into.
The greedy bankers are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening. We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.